What's going on, it's the Rap Nerd. It's been a minute since I did an off the shelf, so I figured I would continue this legacy by sharing 5 of my favorite back to school horror films and showing you the physical media along with that. And I also wanted to point out that I'm going for movies that aren't widely known by a bunch of people. Everybody knows Scream, everybody knows Carrie, everybody knows the Elm Street series, everyone knows about the Halloween movies. So these films kind of take a deeper dive under the radar opposed to the mainstream successful movies from a popularity standpoint. And if you're new to the channel, Off the Shelf is a segment where I talk about a movie that I love and also show you the physical media that I got for it. So it knocks out 2 birds with 1 stone, and I feel like it's appropriate because here in the Southeast, we started school August 1st, and I know the rest of the country starts school later in August or September, so I feel like releasing this video now is a nice sweet spot to check all boxes. And I'm excited to show you the movies that I have in my collection as well as celebrate these films. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So this first film is not part of the 5 I'm going to share. It's kind of a bonus because I released a video last year talking about it specifically, and that is The Faculty. I think like this is the perfect back to school horror film because the setting is literally 90% on school grounds and most definitely is suiting for a back to school list. And it has that late 90s aesthetic that kind of reminds you of Scream, because this was one of the films that came out after that borrowed a little bit of what they did. And honestly, I could be a little biased because I grew up during this era, so I remember a lot of what I'm seeing. Even though I wasn't in high school at the time, it resonates with me a lot. But I feel like anybody who has seen The Faculty and loves it will agree. And I just got this 4K last December, if I remember correctly. I've been wanting to have some type of updated physical media because I had a standard, DVD, and I didn't want to buy a Blu-ray without anything special. So this is the Screen Factory edition, and it's pretty standard. So that's the slipcase right here. That's the back of it. And as you can do with Screen Factory movies, you can replace the cover art right here. The inside is just like the slip cover, but I like to have the classic on the actual art of the movie. And then in the inside, you just have both discs. Nothing too special. But a must watch if you have not watched it already is The Faculty. So wanted to start with that. Now we're getting into the 5 movies that I'm going to share, and the first one on my list is Disturbing Behavior. Now this is a film that released in '98, and just like The Faculty, it kind of has a very similar vibe as far as this 90s punk type high school environment. A lot of the movie takes place directly on school grounds as well. And this is actually a sleeper. And for somebody like me who has always been into these back to school type thrillers, I gotta share it because I don't know who else knows about this film. So pretty much, again, like The Faculty, it's kind of a body snatchers type of movie, but instead of aliens, it's this scientist who is able to throw out this frequency to make people act in ways that they don't typically act. And it's super campy and of the time. I love the soundtrack of this movie. And again, it has that really, really dark punk grunge thing going for it that a lot of these movies had in the late 90s, especially being a teen slasher. And this is a sort of special release. I don't know if you can find it on Amazon with a slipcase. They might send it to you without it, but you can find it on eBay. How much they're gonna charge for it, I don't know. If you're into these types of films, like I said, The Faculty, Urban Legend, Scream, you will like this. It fits right up the same alley and it's cut from the same cloth. So this is the slipcase. Then the inside, same thing as the slip. And then you can also change the artwork. I might change it. I'm gonna do that right now because I actually like doing that. So boom, right there, you see, change it up. I really love this type of thing for artwork. And then that is the disc right there. And since this is a special edition movie, it comes with a mini poster. Disturbing Behavior. So all in all, this is a very fun time, and of the time if you are a fan of nostalgia and worth the watch. It's on Amazon right now for free. I watched it the other day, so yeah. Disturbing Behavior is the first one I'm sharing. Now the second film on the list that I'm sharing is a new release that I just had in my other Blu-ray pickups, and that is The Rage Carrie 2. This is a direct sequel to the original Carrie from the 70s, and this follows her daughter while going to school and going through the same type of things that she went through, getting bullied and outcasted, that leads to a very explosive ending in full late 90s fashion. I love this movie. It is a very good time, and this is a Vinegar Syndrome release. You can find it on eBay, and it's only like $30, so get it while you can. I don't know if it's gonna sell out or not, but when I saw this cover, I had to have it. Yet again, had the DVD in my collection, but figured I want to upgrade to a 4K. So this is the front. This is the back of that joint, and this is the original artwork and posters that you'll see if you Google it. And the inside is just pretty standard, nothing crazy with bells and whistles and all of that. But again, another one that has that same energy of the late 90s teen slashers. It's real moody and punk-like with a great soundtrack and all of that. So if you are into those movies, again, this is definitely one that you want to check out. I watch it every year this time of year because it just really brings back those back to school vibes. So The Rage Carrie 2, definitely check it out if you have not already. So the third back to school horror movie I'm going to share is another one that I think is very underrated and under the radar that I don't think many people know about, and that is Cherry Falls. This is a straight up slasher, and I absolutely love it, honestly. It gives the same type of vibes again as the Scream movies. It's released in 2000 publicly, but I believe it was shot like in 98, but because of a lot of behind the scenes things, it got pushed back and released straight to TV. I'm hoping one day somebody can give us the R-rated uncut version, because apparently this was toned down a lot to fit TV, and the real version is a lot bloodier, but they just never released it to theaters. But this is actually a custom slipcase, so if you go looking, you're not going to be able to find this. I got this made from a guy on Instagram by the name of custom_slipcovers, I think his name is, and he's done a lot of work for me, so I just gave him this art to give to me, because I love slipcases. If I can't get a steal, I at least need a dope slipcase. And that is the regular movie. And if I'm mistaken, this also can be changed. Nope. So the back is kind of like a poster in a sense. And this is a Scream Factory release. They always give you some type of goodies. They never, leave you empty-handed. So a little synopsis about this movie and why I like it is because it takes the whodunit slasher and kind of twists it a little bit. So in the city of Cherry Falls, this killer pops up and he's killing virgins. So it urges all of the teenagers to lose their virginity so they cannot be killed by this killer. That is an insanely wild premise, but I think that it's just dope because it kind of pits the adults and the kids against each other in certain ways, where it's like, hey, mom, dad, I have to have sex so I don't die. And of course, to a parent's ears, that is like the worst thing that you can hear. And once you get to the root of what's going on and find out who the killer is, it is one that'll leave your jaw dropped. And it's just so campy and over the top. Also a bit sad in a sense, but I love this movie, and it inspired something that I'm working on as far as film in a lot of different ways. So Cherry Falls, definitely give it a watch if you can. I don't think it's on any streaming service for free, so you're gonna have to watch it on like Fandango or Amazon and pay the price, or you could just order it, because if you're a fan of slashers, definitely worth owning and watching. So Cherry Falls is number 3. So now we're taking a leap into the 2020s from the 90s, and this one that I'm going to suggest is Freaky. You gotta excuse me when I said that I automatically thought about Freaky Zeke. So this was released in 2020, I believe, later in the year, and I didn't get to see this in theaters, and I'm quite mad because this film is a freaking blast. Easily one of my favorite back to school modern day horror films that I watch every year. I watched it, I think, a few weeks ago. It is just such a joy. So the premise here, if you have not seen it, I don't really know how popular this movie is, outside of like the horror community, but think Freaky Friday, but just with this girl and this killer. So they switch bodies, and what makes it entertaining is little Catherine is the killer running around murking the shit out of people, and they have to figure out how to swap bodies before it becomes permanent. So just that premise is good, and it's directed and written by Chris Landon, and I feel like he knows how to land the ship when it comes to slashers and camp. Like, he does it perfectly. It's funny as hell. Everything for me pretty much is funny that they do. Vince Vaughn being the killer and him portraying a teenage girl is like golden. So Just a fantastic movie, and again, a lot of the setting takes place on school and has to do with the concept of school and youth, so definitely get us to watch it. And it's on Peacock right now, and they actually have a list called Back to School, which is what prompted me to do these horror lists. So this is just a standard 4K Blu-ray that you would get from Screen Factory, literally no bells and whistles. What you see here is exactly what you get. That's the back of it. And I urge you, give it a watch. If you love slashers and you're into the whole back to school thing, this is perfect for modern day. So Freaky is my 4th pick. Now at the number 5 spot for me is a movie that released on Netflix in 2021. It went pretty under the radar. I didn't see them do a lot of promotion for it, but it is called There's Someone in Your House. And yes, I said this is a Netflix movie, so this whole thing is a custom bit that I got ordered. I got a slipcase made by my guy that I was talking about on Instagram, and I ordered this from one of those websites that sells streaming movies. You can find it if you just type in Netflix Blu-rays. You'll find a bunch of sites. I mean, even Etsy is doing it, eBay is doing it as well. But the premise of this movie is there is this killer that shows up to these kids' houses to kill them, but this person is wearing like a plastic version of the person they're there to kill. So it just makes a different level of creepiness, and I think it's shot really well, and it just embodies the back to school energy because a lot of it takes place during a school, and it has a lot of fall thrown in there that really puts you in the mood to go into spooky season. And again, the aura of it I just love, especially for something that's modern day. So this is the slipcase, and I love this art. It reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with, you know, her overlooking this house and being in this rural area. And that's the back of it. I'm actually gonna watch this one soon. I kind of wait to watch this closer to September because it does have really, really big fall vibes. And, you know, inside, same exact thing as outside. And then that is the Blu-ray disc. Now, I know there are going to be some people who riot because I got a bootleg, but hey, this is a streaming movie and they're not going to release it on physical, so I figured I would just get it myself, and I've done this for every single streaming movie that I love, and I'm not ashamed of it. If you don't want to put it on streaming, fine, I'll find somewhere to get it and own it in my collection, especially if I love it. So me showing y'all this lets you know that I really, really love it, and it's a great take on just a standard modern day slasher. It doesn't do anything crazy, but I just think that concept of wearing someone's face while going on attack and using the person's vice or negativity against them is like a chef's kiss of a concept. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a book as well. But all in all, I think it's a really good slasher. So those are 5 back to school horror films that I personally love to suggest to you to watch during this season. And this by no means is me saying that these are the best 5 ever. I just chose these for my collection for the ones that were easily accessible and I had some type of special slipcase or something worth showing off. I have a lot of others, and next year I'll do this again, giving you 5 more. But for now, I feel like these will do the job. So let me know in the comments, what are 5 of your favorite back to school horror films? And if it's something I've never seen, I'll check it out too, because I'm watching that all month and next month. So put me on game to something. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.